Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about the top 3 reasons you should not pursue medical billing and coding. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so I will say this first. I accept that there will be some people that no matter what I say or how I say it, they're just not going to understand because I'm going to say stuff that they're not going to want to hear. And I accept it, okay? Because the point of my channel is a few reasons, but one of the reasons is that you guys know the truth. I have no vested interest in whether or not you choose to pursue this career field or not. I don't. I'm just a 17-year veteran medical coder who has been there, done that on a lot of things, okay? I've struggled to find my first job in the beginning like everybody else. I completed my program with very little teaching from an instructor, like a lot of other people, okay? And so there's a lot of things that are part of my journey that are part of all of your journey as well, people who have been into it. But I make this type of video because I think it's important because there's a lot of schools out there and people who sell dreams. They sell dreams and they sell ideas and they say, oh yes, you know, we can get you on the road to a brand new career in medical billing and coding in just 4 months, in just 2 months, some of them, right? Oh, in just 6 months, you can be on your way to making this high amount of money. And they dangle this in front of people and they think, oh, this is so easy. The electronic health record does it, you know? And so, which is not true. And if you're in the field, you know, okay? So I'm going to talk about the 3 reasons, but I want you guys to just hear me out, okay? You got nothing to lose, right? You got nothing to lose. Just something to think about. And I'm going to be very direct. I might even hurt your feelings, but it is not intentional, okay? My whole intention is that you guys get the truth and that you consider these things before you pursue the career field because it's expensive. Number one, it is very expensive. You have to study, and while there's many ways to find free resources to help you study in your journey, videos that I've done umpteen times, okay, because I have 1,400 plus videos on my channel, I've done the video several times. It's going to get expensive. You have your credential to pay for. Then you got to pay for credential maintenance through continuing education units. And they give you time to gather those, but if you're not working, it can make it more difficult. Yes, there's free ones, but the free ones, you want to make sure that what you're also getting for continuing education is giving you quality, okay? There's the membership fees. If you're a member of AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders, they're going to require you to pay a membership fee every single year, regardless of whether you have a job in coding or not, in order to be able to maintain your credential. Because if you don't, they will take it away and they will not hesitate. Okay? Now, if you get with the American Health Information Management Association, it's an option of whether you have the membership or not. But there's benefits to that. Again, all talked about on other videos. So I say all this to say, if you get upset about something that I say, there's nothing that I can do about that. I will never change my mind. I will never change my position on anything I'm going to say today. I have not and I will not go back on my own personal values to change because it upsets people. Because you know why? Because my integrity and my ethics, my own personal ethics, and me sharing them here and talking to you very honestly and directly has saved more people than the people who cry and get upset because their feelings get so easily hurt. Okay? So I'm just laying that out right there. Now, here's the first thing, okay? You want to pursue medical billing and coding because you think that it's easy. Blue, I came over from nursing. I've been doing coding the whole time. No. What you've been doing is you've been circling from a super bill. 99.99999% of you circling from a super bill, entering in the codes that the provider has wanted. Well, no, I looked up the codes. Okay, you can look up codes. Sure, certainly. You can go on CMS and look up diagnosis codes. You can do all these things and look up codes. But do you really understand what it means? Do you understand the rules? I guarantee you don't. You don't. Because there's a lot of people that say, oh, yes, I do this. But then when you see the code selections, you're like, what the heck is this? There's different rules for when we pick up certain things in diagnosis and when we don't. And then it depends on the setting that you're in. If you're in the inpatient setting, if you're in the outpatient setting, there's different rules. And then the way that it's documented can also change what codes are being selected as well. Where are they in their care if they're injured, right? And is it initial? Is it subsequent? Is it sequela? You know, what is the situation here? There's a lot of factors that go into correct diagnosis code selection. Let's not even talk about the procedures. Let's not talk about evaluation and management. It's not just about, oh, it's going to be so easy. I don't care who told you that it's going to be easy. I'm telling you, 17 years in this industry, 17, 2 credentials, technically 3, because I started out with my CCA, Certified Coding Associate. And then in 2021, I got my CCSP first, the Certified Coding Specialist Physician base. That's the mastery of the outpatient setting. And then in November of the same year, 2021, I got my CCS. That is a mastery medical coding certification. That's the gold standard. That says you've mastered inpatient coding and outpatient coding. And I have that credential, okay? But as soon as I got my CCSP, my CCA was superseded, which means that I can no longer carry it because I have a credential according to AHIMA that exceeds the entry-level credential that the CCA is considered. It is a wonderful credential, and I held on to it for all those years. For 13 years, I held on to it. And I was very stubborn about that because I wanted to change hearts and minds, and I wanted people to understand that people who have the CCA are quite capable, because there's a lot to that exam, and it is a lot harder than a lot of trash talkers will say, oh, this and that about the CCA. You couldn't pass the test, so just sit down. I'm just saying. But that's the thing about it. It takes knowledge, it takes effort, it takes skill, and that's stuff that you will end up acquiring throughout your career. When I first completed my medical coding program, which was through a temp agency, my goodness. It was through a trade school, okay? Some people may call it trade school vocational school. I'm from Texas. We say trade school. But other places may say technical school, or they may say vocational training, whatever, okay? It's no longer there anymore, the school that I went to. But I was learning on my own. And no, it was not easy. When I was learning, there was people who had to take the E&M class, evaluation and management class, a couple of times. And then for some people, it made them quit altogether because they just didn't get it. But I am a studier. I'm a reader by nature. So that's what helps me to get through and learn the things that I needed to learn. But I didn't know everything back then. And I had started during ICD 9 times. Right now we're in ICD 10. ICD-10-CM, ICD-10-PCS. We're in the 10th version of the code set. Okay? 10th revision is what they call it. But the 10th version of the code set, of the diagnosis code set, is what we're in. And so going through that whole phase of learning and things like that, people will drop out during this phase because they find out really quick it is not easy. We have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. For some of you, that is a scary proposition because you're like, oh my gosh, that's too much, that's too much. I had no medical background when I got into this. Anybody can do this as long as they put the effort in and they do their studies like they're supposed to. It is possible for anyone to learn. Even if you say, well, I'm not that smart. I don't know how people can say that about themselves, but here we are. You know, I get those messages. I don't know, my reading comprehension is not that good. You have to read all day. So you have to like to read. And for some of you, I don't know what you're thinking, when you think that it's going to be so easy. You're going to have to read. You have to read. Your English needs to be on point as well, because you will at some point have to query your provider, do some sort of written education for your provider. Okay, if you don't do the queries, you'll have to do written education at some point. Okay, because there's too many of you that try to, stunt yourselves because, oh no, I'm too scared to do that. You can't be fearful in this. You got to be all in. You got to be prepared. You got to be ready. You have to learn medical terminology, anatomy, and pathophysiology. You've got to learn all of those things, and then you learn the coding. And in the coding, you're going to be learning 3 minimum manuals, but for some of you, you're going to learn 4, okay? ICD-10-CM is your diagnosis codes. ICD-10-PCS is the inpatient procedure codes. Some credentials have that, and some of them don't. CPT coding, and that's going to cover your outpatient procedures. That's going to cover your evaluation and management coding. It's going to cover your modifiers. So there's a lot in that CPT manual. And then there's the HCPCS Level 2 manual. That has some procedure codes in it, like for Medicare, for the colonoscopies. They have 2 different colonoscopy codes. They got one for high-risk patients and one for your standard screening risk, and or standard screening code. And they have these broken down because it's easier for them to go through when they're running these data reports to see how many people are high risk and how many are, this is just a standard screening. Yes, there's colonoscopy codes in the CPT manual, but that's for your commercial insurance. So there's different reasons, right? Different reasons why. And colonoscopies are done. There's a few different reasons why. And so again, it depends on what insurance are they carrying. That's another thing that you got to learn and you got to know. So there's a lot of things that you're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to be patient enough to understand that you're not going to pick up everything right away. But if you can get past all that, you say, no, Blue, I like to read. I like to study. I enjoy all of these things. And if you've gone through my videos, you see that I have tons of videos about free resources on how to study. I had the independent study syllabus up that I had came up with, right? And how to study medical billing and coding on your own. I have taken it down because there was a lot of people that were being ungrateful. So I'm going to be posting a paid version soon. It's not ready yet. And please give me some patience on this, because I've got a lot of other stuff going on right now. But the videos where I talk about the independent study are still up. And all you have to do is just take note of what I'm saying and what I'm showing you in the video, okay? So I will leave that there. But with that said, if you're willing to take the time to learn, because you need 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. If you get sucked up into, some little 4-month program or 2-month program or 6-month program, you need to augment your studies and use the videos on my channel to help augment those studies for you, okay? So that's what you can do there. But be ready to be committed to 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months, because that's as long as you need to learn to prepare yourself for your certification exam, okay? The second reason that you should not pursue medical billing and coding is because the only reason that you want to pursue medical billing and coding is because you want to work remotely. Now, I see this a lot. I see a lot of people that they say, well, Blue, no, I've got kids at home and I need a job where I can work at home. There's lots of data entry jobs that you can get, that you can work at home, and you can have a house full of screaming kids, okay? There are, working for like the airlines, for the the reservations and things like that, the hotels, they have a lot of remote work as well. You can work with those and not have to go through all the headache of having to learn all medical billing and coding stuff and have to worry about maintaining a certification and all those types of things. Because working at home for brand new medical coders does not work. Now, if you tell me, well, no, Blue, when I started, it was during the pandemic and I was able to work remotely and I'm still working remotely. I guarantee you there's a lot of things that if you had exposure to other coders, you'd be a lot better at. I guarantee you there's a lot of things that are missing in your knowledge because you are not around other coders. You have to be around other coders when you start. it literally doesn't matter to me. A lot of people will tell me their whole life story about why they have to work at home. Please pick another career field, because remote work is for when you've gotten experience, when you understand how to problem solve and troubleshoot when you're at home by yourself. Because if you are just starting out, you got your certification and you landed a job in medical coding right away, and you're like, okay, and I'm working remote and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? It's not just about the coding, right? Because the book coding and real world code is going to look like two different things, right? But when you get into the electronic health record, that's going to look different as well. And so you have to learn the electronic health record. And these people that are hiring you are not going to want to have to sit here and stop and answer your questions, because you're going to be lost in the sauce. It is disheartening to see new people that's the first thing that they fixate on, is that I want to work remotely. Well, Blue, I'm disabled and I'm not able to get out. There's other career fields that you can pursue that are not going to have to need you to be at a place. And even if you want to work remotely, you're still insisting, no, Blue, I want to make a go of this, but I really have to work at home. At least consider then, if you're not going to listen to me, at least consider starting at a place where they will train you on site, so that way you can get some exposure to other coders and to have that hands-on assistance when you need it at such a critical time. Because I've had people who say, Blue, I got my first remote job and I can't do it. I'm going to quit. And then they end up quitting, and they have unfortunately, they've gotten student loans to learn medical billing and coding. And it is really sad to hear that you get a student loan to learn medical billing and coding when you can learn. There's resources out there where you can learn on your own, or that you can go through the workforce office and get yourself paid for. Okay? But they went through and they got a student loan. They went and did the certification exam. They went through all those hours of study and everything, and then they had to pay out all this money, and now it's down the drain because their first job was working remotely and they couldn't hack it. And now they've questioned everything that they're saying that they thought that this was. It's too hard. It's too hard. No one wants to train me. I will be very honest with you. There are a lot of places that will not train you. I was even told that when I started here at my forever home. I started through a temp agency. I worked at the Cancer Therapy Research Center. It was a 3-month assignment because it's a temporary assignment, right? And then I went on to my second job. And my second job, I was very lucky and blessed that I had a wonderful supervisor that actually took the time with me to help me to understand what I was doing, working in professional fee. Professional fee experience was what got me my forever home job here, my forever coding home. And so when I got here and I had less than 1 year of experience, I had moved 3 times, right? Jobs 3 times, and getting here to my forever home, I was able to be here. I'm still here. But one of the first things that my boss, when I got here, told me was, this is not a training ground. We expect you to learn to do your research and to research before you ask us anything. No problem. No problem. Because she was such a good leader that you never wanted to disappoint her. She was one of those. And because of that, I'm a strong coder. I worked at home years later for a level 1 trauma hospital. But I had experience up to that point. I had all those years of experience working at a level 1 trauma at the hospital, and before I started working remotely. And it was a good thing because, again, the only thing I needed to learn really was how to use the electronic health record, which that one was really easy to learn. But that was a good thing about that one. Trust me, I have worked in some doozies where it is not easy. In fact, the electronic health record that I'm working with now, I do not like it. I do not like it at all. It is the worst electronic health record, and I will not tell y'all what it is. But it is one of the worst electronic health records ever. Ever. And so because of that, I can't imagine being new and working with a terrible electronic health record. And then now you're having to look at this record and you're like, oh my gosh, where do I go? What do I do? You're going to be out there paddling by yourself. That's what you have to be prepared for. There's some people that get really lucky, like I said, and they'll find really good mentors that will help them. But other than that, you are on your own. So if you think that you want to pursue medical billing and coding because you want to only work remotely, you need to think again. And it does not matter your reasoning. It does not matter. Children, family, and that you can't get out of the house, please pick something else. And for those, my parents, that say, well, no, I don't want to pay for daycare, so I need to work at home. Your productivity is going to be higher than if you were working in-house. Because they expect you to not be distracted. And they will monitor your movements while you're in the record. And even if you get a mouse mover, you think you're clever, right? Mouse mover. And they're going to look at how long did you spend in each record. Every single medical record you go through, every single page you look at, it's time stamped every single time. So when they go back and they do an audit of, hey, what's going on here? You're not producing. What are you doing? They're not paying you to run your kids around or to be cooking or cleaning or doing laundry or any of those things. They're not paying you to do that. They're paying you to work. So if you're going to work remotely, you need to have experience. And that's just for your benefit. You need to have experience. Now, again, work at a place where they do hands-on training and then go home. That's totally fine. But don't just do it because you're insisting on working at home remotely. Okay? So with that said, because like I said, there's other things you can do that are much easier. That would be much easier for you to do. The last reason that you should not pursue medical billing and coding, and I am very firm on this, very firm. You're doing it because of the money. Medical billing and coding pays well. I don't care what anyone says. And if you say, well, no, they don't pay well. Okay, you're looking in the wrong place, clearly. It pays well. But how it pays well, it pays for knowledge. When you are brand new, and for my nurses, my nurses are the ones that complain a lot. And they say, oh no, it doesn't pay well. You didn't start off in nursing on the high end of the scale when you had 20, 30 years in. You didn't start at that pay that you're at currently right now. You started way lower than that. So thinking you're going to come in hot and saying, oh, well, I have all of this experience, but you're not a coder. There's a difference there, okay? So people get disillusioned because they say, oh, no, they only want to pay this, they only want to pay that. But then they're also looking for places that are only saying entry level. I always say all the time, if they're looking for a coder and you have a credential, you need to apply, whether you have experience or not. Because when they are hiring, if they're desperate enough, they will hire you. And we never, ever, ever talk about money on my channel. Never. There are schools that will push medical billing and coding based on the money. They'll dangle the money in front of the people, and then the people get their eyes all glittery, and then they're like, oh yes, well, I want to do this because I'm going to make all this big money. But you don't want to put the effort in. You just want to show up and collect a check. There are coders that do very well, who have no college degree, who far exceed what degree holders make. I know, because I did it with just a CCA. And I still far exceeded people who had an RHIA, because the RHIA is not for coding. That is for leadership. RHIT is also for leadership, but it is more on the technical side with training and being a lead coder and being a supervisor and doing all of these things. They do also leadership as well. But that's what it's leadership based. That's what those two credentials are designed for. The degrees are designed for leadership. They are not designed for coding. It will not make you more money. The more credentials that you have on your name will not make you more money. I have said this from day one. that if you are a brand new medical coder, you only need to have one credential for the first 2 years. It's different if you have a degree. Okay, you're coming in as RHIT, you get the CCS as well. That's different. But you're not going to sit there and make all of this money right out of the gate with no effort put into it. You have to put effort into it. And again, I don't give exact dollar figures on my channel because you know why I don't do that? I don't do that because people will look at starting salaries very differently. And not only that, Florida will pay a lot different from Michigan, which will pay a lot different from California, which California will pay way differently from Texas because of the different economies in the areas. The cost of living is different in all of these areas. So the starting salary is going to be different. I am very clear on that. I always say that. I will not discuss dollar figures exactly. I had a lady, because it was a video about getting a degree or not, whether you should pursue it or not, and you know, that kind of thing. And in the video, I even said, don't do it for the money, because you having an RHIA with no experience is no different from somebody coming in with a CCS who has no experience either. Just because you have a degree does not make you more money than somebody who has a CCS. And I said, I do not give specifics when it comes to dollar amounts. Here comes a bonehead. And I say bonehead because, yeah, what's the first thing? Oh, I'm curious what you would say a health information manager makes. And I responded with, I'm curious why you couldn't just look that up. Because I did say in the video as well that if you want to know about what a medical coder makes in your area, you go to the Department of Labor or the Bureau of Statistics, right? They're going to be the ones to have all of that information on their website. And no, I won't not leave a specific link. Okay, you guys can do that. That's part of what you do as a coder now, is to do your research. But keep in mind that coders do get paid well, but they get paid based on their knowledge base, based on their experience. So if you really want to make sure that you maximize the amount of money that you can make, you need to pay attention. Pay attention to what they're looking for out there. Excuse me, if you see in your area, they're looking for a lot of orthopedic coders, and you see what their salary is, what they pay those coders, wouldn't it behoove you to get really good with injury coding, get really good with the procedures as well that are common to ortho, right? So that's what you need to do. It's the same thing if it was cardio or neuro or any of those other things. That's what you need to do if that is what you want to. But where you start on salary is not where you will stay. And there's a lot of people that get hung up on that as well. Oh, it doesn't pay anything, doesn't pay anything. That's because you're starting out. You need to be trained like everybody else. And in what model of business would they ever start somebody off at a high salary without them having earned it or bringing something to the table? What model of business do you see that happening in? None. Because it's foolish. It's foolish, okay? So that's the thing that you guys need to think about. Don't pursue it for the money, because if you are pursuing it for the money, you will be chasing the money and you will never be satisfied. When you relax and you do what you're supposed to do as far as study, the money will come to you, believe it or not. You will have more opportunity based on your knowledge base. The more knowledge that you get, the more earnings potential you will have. The more experience in a variety of settings that you get, the more earnings potential that you will have. Okay? But don't pursue this for the money. It does pay well, but don't do it for the money. It's like actors, how they tell you don't do it for the money, because actors struggle sometimes for a long time before they make it big. It is different for us as coders in that your time and your experience will help you to be able to command more money. But until you have put in the work, put in that sweat equity, you're not going to do anything, and you're going to be one of these people out here unreasonably wanting high salary and with no effort. Please. Really? Even influencers, social media influencers, have to put in effort in order to make money. I'm just saying. So with that said, Those are the top 3 reasons. Don't do it because you think it's easy, because it takes a lot of effort to learn, okay? And you're going to find yourself wasting money if you think this is a joke. Because I've heard it from many professions, not just nurses. I've had teachers as well say, oh, I thought it was so easy, and boy, did I learn. Well, yeah, okay? Don't do it because you want to work remotely. It is foolish to let new people work remotely because you need that exposure to other coders, to veteran coders, so that way you can gain that confidence. But again, in one ear and out the other for some of you. And don't pursue it for the money. I don't care if that upsets you. But I'm just saying that people who pursue it for the money are 9 times out of 10 never going to be happy. There's nothing that you can do for those people. And this industry needs people who are committed to learning, committed to growing, committed to doing all the things that they need to do to be competent coders. Because trust me, there's a lot of incompetence out there. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.